Howdy, my name is CXCD, your favorite scammer and grifter, and today, I'm here to talk about Sunset Shimmer, one of the fandom's most popular ponies. Or humans, I guess, depending on how you look at it, really. I mean, look at the images the fandom has drawn for her, 84,000 images, and that's only with the Safe for Work filter. Compare that to the objectively least popular member of the main six, Applejack, who has a mere 21,000... No, that says 210,000 images, not 21,000. But still, she is still one of the most popular ponies of all of G4. Despite the fact that she only ever appeared in Equestria Girls, she never showed up in the main series, minus that one time at the very end of the last problem where they're doing that crowd shot. Did you know that Sunset Shimmer was originally supposed to show up in the last problem with a bigger role, but it never happened? Anyway, she began as a villain, and by the end of her first movie reformed into the good guy. But ever since her very first appearance, the fandom has been asking itself, what the hell happened to her? What the hell actually happened to her to make her turn into the bad guy? In the movies and the episodes that we got of Equestria Girls, we actually don't really know the answer to this question, like, at all. Her backstory, for the most part, is still, to this day, almost complete mystery. Within the movies and series and stuff, the most backstory we ever actually really learned from her is at the very beginning of the first movie when Celestia says that she was a former student. But it was also kind of vague about what exactly happened. Like, what were the exact events that transpired between Celestia and Sunset that made Sunset leave? Celestia left it up to a big question mark, and we never actually really got the full answer. I mean, listen to this from the movie, right?
She began her studies with me not long before Twilight. But when she did not get what she wanted as quickly as she liked, she turned cruel and dishonest. But she eventually decided to abandon her studies and pursue her own path.
What did she do that made her cruel? And how the hey did her pursuing her own studies lead her into the human world, right? To say we got borderline no explanation for Sunset at all would be an understatement to say the least. But they did drop little lore tidbits to keep us at least partially satisfied. Like how Sunset might have been actually a lot nicer than Celestia said she was. At least when she first came to the human world. But she might have been, hardened into becoming like a big bad guy for being teased because she was a weird fucking horse girl, right? Kind of the same way Twilight had to adjust to being human, Sunset might have had to adjust to being human too, But could you imagine doing these faces at your school picture day? I mean, like... Okay, for this next picture, smile really wide. So I propose the question, dear viewer. What the hell exactly happened to Sunset to make her turn out the way she did? And why is Sunset one of the characters with the most, reasonable crash outs in all of equestrian history? And why, oh why, is Sunset Tragic Fix so damn popular? Okay, before we actually begin getting into the deep, dark secrets of Sunset Shimmer, I just want to say, yeah, I'm back in the Cadillac. My house is still too busy to record pony videos in. And you might notice from my background, I'm not back in the church parking lot. I'm actually in the middle of the woods in some fuck-off neck part of Michigan. The reason why I decided not to go to the church parking lot again today is because, I'm actually recording this on the day the Pope died. So I felt like, going to the church parking lot to record a video about ponies would be just a little bit insensitive, just a little bit. So, I'll give the church a few days to mourn, but then I'm going right back to making pony videos. So, let's start at the very beginning, aka let's start at Sunset Shimmer's birth. Maybe that's a little too far back. Let's say her origin, aka where the hell did she come from? Still, to this day, we don't have any idea where she came from. It's been half a decade since FIM ended, and we still have no idea who her parents are. To me, that seems like a massive gaping plot hole, right? I mean, compared to Twilight knew where her parents were and was able to visit them at any time she wanted while in the castle. At least I'm pretty sure. It might vary from person to person, but me personally, if I were to get locked in a different dimension with some weird furless creatures called Who-Mans and got turned into a Who-Man, I would at least mention in passing that I want to see my fucking parents, right? Especially considering that Sunset is still high schooler age and would typically live with her parents, right? But she doesn't. She lives by herself. We don't hear Sunset mention her parents at all. ever, even after she got reformed into a good guy. I don't know why I keep saying even after she got reformed, like that was the end of her story. There's still a lot more Sunset Shimmer. There's a lot more Sunset being good than there's Sunset being bad. I'm not entirely sure why I keep saying that, as if it's the exception. Anyway, so what does a certain fandom do when a popular character happens to not have any parents and are weirdly absent? That's right, everybody. It's your favorite headcanon. She's an orphan. Of course, this is a headcanon. It should not be taken as fact, but it does solve the major issue, right? The issue of Sunset's independence from the pony world. If she had family back in Equestria, she might be less likely to want to run away. But if she doesn't have any family in Equestria, her running through the mirror is just another part of her life. Nothing was holding her back from running away to the human world. Anyways, I do want to very momentarily just take a step back and just compare and contrast Twilight and Sunset for a minute. Because there's actually a bit of a sub-theory here, which is really cool. To put it very bluntly, Twilight was Celestia's B plan, and Sunset was Celestia's A plan. If you watch the series and read the comics, you might come away with the same impression that I did. That Sunset was meant to be where Twilight was. Sunset was meant to be Twilight. Sunset says in her first movie over and over again that that crown belongs to her. Sunset was Celestia's student, much like Twilight was. And Sunset simply just didn't work out. She went bad. And Celestia had to fall back on Twilight. Twilight is, by all accounts, the B plan. It reminds me a little bit of the Harry Potter Chosen theory. Now, spoilers for Harry Potter, but then again, who the hell hasn't seen Harry Potter at this point? So I don't think it really matters. There's a theory that it's kind of implied that Harry Potter and a character Neville, whatever his name is, I think it's Neville were kind of interchangeable. AKA Neville could have very, very easily been in Harry's position. It was just the way the dice rolled that night that led Harry to be the chosen one, not Neville. And I feel like it's kind of the same thing in FIM. It was just luck of the draw that Sunset decided to go AWOL and Twilight didn't. And Celestia had to choose Twilight as her B plan. I think it's still really funny to refer to somebody, an entire character, as a B plan. That's funny to me, I don't know why. Who is the C plan? Trixie? I mean, maybe. But that begs the question. Why did Sunset go AWOL? Why did she run away to the human world? She wasn't banished. Actually, for a long while, I did think she was banished, but apparently she wasn't. What was the series of events that led her to do that? Well, turns out we actually know why. It was explained in the comic, and the comic is actually very interesting because the story they tell on why Sunset went AWOL is interesting. Somehow, Sunset got Celestia's attention when she was younger. It wasn't ever explained how, but we can just assume that she was just very magically gifted. Celestia decided to make Sunset her personal student, much like she did with Twilight. However, the big problem with Sunset was the fact that she had, let's say, a fucking massive ego. While Twilight didn't make friends because she was a social recluse and socially awkward, Sunset didn't make friends because she was a dickhole. You know, when you're trying to manipulate somebody into being, you know, the element of magic and the princess of friendship, I feel like a good thing for that pony to have is being good with friends, right? But somehow both Sunset and Twilight were bad at that. I'm not sure what Celestia was thinking. Anyways, Sunset was very much a prick to her friends. Or friends. She didn't have any friends. Prick to everybody. And Celestia, as a last-ditch attempt into making Sunset see the magic of friendship, decided to show Sunset a little something. A little mirror. Now, this mirror is a little bit mysterious. Nobody really knows exactly how it works. Because, yeah, it allows people to travel to and from the human world, but it also plays a little bit of a weird role in this comic, which means it might have like a second purpose, which I'll get to in a second. And I believe the mirror in this comic is somehow tangentially related to the mirror that Celestia and Star Swirl made to travel to different realities. Now, it's not the same mirror. That mirror was shattered, but it is a very similar mirror. Anyways, I believe that how the mirror was supposed to work is it would show the viewer different realities, different timelines, if you will, of the pony looking into the mirror. Now, I believe Celestia was trying to show Sunset this mirror with the intent of the mirror showing her back some fucked up timeline of Sunset being sad and alone and crying and filthy, right? And I believe Celestia hoped that it would scare Sunset into being a better friend. Listen here, boy, you better start being a better friend or else you're gonna end up on the farm. But instead, the mirror didn't show Sunset that reality. Instead, the mirror showed Sunset a different reality. A reality where she was an alicorn ruler and was ruling Equestria. That backfired, didn't it? Now, this is where the real villain arc begins. Not only Sunset's, but also Celestia's villain arc. Celestia, instead of, apologizing or explaining what the hell just happened, Celestia decides to gaslight and deny Sunset and tell Sunset that she was just imagining things. She was just seeing things. She wasn't ready to know what the mirror was about. Now, obviously, Sunset is a little bit concerned, right? I mean, she just saw herself as a future ruler of Equestria. She's gonna wanna ask a few questions about what the hell she just saw, right? But Celestia, for apparently weeks, just straight up, flat out, denied Sunset and just refused to answer any of her questions regarding the mirror of Ursid. Does that irk anyone else? I feel like that's really annoying. Celestia, time and time again, proves herself to be a little shit. Anyway, Sunset, tired of being ignored, finally decides to take matters into her own hands. Into her own hooves, and she sneaks into the dark magic section of the library. And through her research, she managed to discover that the mirror is actually a portal into another reality. Much like the mirror that Starswirl and Celestia built. She also learned that there was apparently a way to make alicorns that was so easy for other alicorns to do that she just straight up demanded Celestia make her into an alicorn right there and then. Oh yeah, Celestia found out she was studying in the dark section, because of course she did. So yeah, Celestia discovers Sunset studying there, and after some bickering back and forth, which involved, turn me into an alicorn, bitch, Celestia immediately removes Sunset from her position as a personal student, and hereby disallows Sunset from ever stepping back into the castle. So, just to recap, Celestia tried to scare Sunset into submission by using the Mirror of Ursid, and it backfired. Celestia tried to then gaslight Sunset into believing she was just seeing things. It backfired. Celestia flat out just ignored Sunset for a number of weeks, hoping that Sunset would eventually forget about the whole thing. It backfires. Sunset, fed up with Celestia's bullshit, decides to go to the dark magic section and research for herself. Celestia immediately removes Sunset from the position of being her student. What the fuck, Celestia? Unsurprisingly, Sunset decided to break free from the guards, run to the mirror room, and jump through the mirror into the world of humans. And that is where Equestria Girls picks up. So, alright, cool. Celestia is a massive dickhead. I don't understand why Celestia would remove Sunset from being her student, unless Celestia was then trying to do yet another mind game to Sunset. Maybe Celestia removed Sunset as, a wake-up call, right? Hey, you're being a dickhead, wake up. And maybe Celestia expected Sunset to come groveling back saying, I'm sorry I was a bad friend, please forgive me, or whatever, right? But then it would backfire again. Celestia tries time and time and time again to manipulate Sunset, and every single time it backfires. She tried to manipulate her with the Mirror of Ursid. She tried to manipulate her into believing she wasn't seeing anything. She tried to manipulate her into coming back and being like, oh, sorry, I was such a bad friend, right? It backfires every time. The only reason Twilight became the Princess of Friendship, the only reason why Twilight became the element of magic, was entirely because she was more manipulatable than Sunset was. The only reason why FIM is following Twilight's story and not Sunset is because Twilight was more easily manipulatable. So now with this entire backstory just presented to you, I think you can, it makes more sense as to why Sunset had a crash out. Her entire story is, every step of the way, her entire story is based on her not being manipulatable enough, right? And she was lashing out at the world because of it. Now, I will be the first to admit, Sunset maybe trying to take over the world using high schoolers wasn't the smartest idea, But upon knowing now that Sunset was gaslit for weeks by Celestia, after she attempted to manipulate her and failed, I mean, once again, the most understandable crash out in history. I mean, it was almost as understandable as my crash out. Don't look at me like that. So, back to Sunset. We could take this even a step further. Let's keep in mind that the fandom likes to think that Sunset is an orphan, right? Who's to say that in some way, Sunset might have seen Celestia as a mother-type figure in her life? Celestia rescued her from an orphanage, gave her a roof over her head, and was her teacher for her entire life. What if Sunset saw Celestia in some ways as her mother? And then, in literally a split second, Celestia decides to just remove Sunset from being her student. Like, I mean, to Sunset, that would be like your mother saying, I don't want you as my child anymore, goodbye. Like, that's kind of fucked up. That's kind of fucked up. And yeah, I know Sunset eventually did end up making up with Celestia, but still, Jesus Christ. Good thing I'm not in the church parking lot right now. But honestly, I can make an entire video about how Celestia is actually really the bad guy of FIM, because holy shit, she done some fucked up things in her days. Anyways, here's some fan art. If you want to support me and the Cadillac, you can become a membership on my YouTube. But after all, I am a scammer and a grifter. I love money. If you want to see your name on screen, leave a comment down below suggesting a video idea for me to do. At the end of the video, I'll put your name on screen with a comment, and you will take complete credit for making me money. Anyways, that's about all. Remember, kids, always intolerant tolerance. I will see you guys later, and go all goodbye.
I bite at the hand that feeds me, slap at the face that eats me. Some kind of animal cannibal made impressions on me.